Today, I'm going to channel on what the global energy is around the world right now. There's a lot of upheaval. There's a lot of crisis. We will use that word. And this question and topic came from a subscriber who subscribes to the newsletter that I send out each week. And for those of you that are subscribers, or if you want to be a subscriber, all you have to do is subscribe to the newsletter. But please feel free to send in questions, topics, or things that are going through your mind, and I will channel on them and let the Druids give you their perspective on them. So I want to thank that person for sending in this question because it's a very hot topic right now that I get a lot of people asking about. And so I'm so happy it came up in this type of forum where I could channel on it for everyone. There is so much coming in right now. There is a major shift within the world. There is a major shift within the planetary alignments, but also within the energy of the earth. We've talked a lot before about this transition of earth, this ascension of earth, this change in the dynamic of earth, what it has, what it offers, and all of the beings on it. And with that comes this shifting and this change within the energy that is there. That is what is causing some of this unrest to happen because as the world is ascending, as there is this shift in the energy that Mother Earth is standing in and taking root in, it is bringing a lot to the surface. There is a lot that is now being seen by many, many people, by many others that are out there, by other galaxies, other energies, other races. There's many things that are being brought into this, that it's not just a human aspect. It's just not affecting the humans that live on it, but it is affecting the galaxy and the whole entire universe as a whole. And this is not necessarily a bad thing, for Earth is evolving, it's changing, it's transforming. For those of you that talk about astrology, it's going through kind of that Pluto transformation period, that bringing forward what new is coming. And so that is what this is for the Earth. And so, yes, there are many of you that are on here that are feeling this, that are being maybe caught up in it. The key for this is that you have to look at where you are within your lifetime right now. You have to look at where you are at and how that this energy is affecting you. What do you have a control over? What do you not have control over? What can you regard without allowing your emotions to kind of like nosedive inward? And you start to have some of those more difficult emotions like fear or anger or hatred and all of those things that kind of bring you down. How can you make yourself more knowledgeable without that happening, without that bringing into that? And if you can find a way to be aware of what's happening and reshift your energy, reshift where you're at, you will come to find that it will make so much more sense for you. You will come to find that you will be very rooted in with where you are and where you're going, for it will really allow for you to live within more of that alignment space, but be able to see people, things, energy, and places for what they are. For much of what was hidden is now being shown, is now you're allowing for many to see. And part of that is because of the ascension of the Earth's energy, it is allowing for what was below is now coming up to the surface. The same way you can say in the reverse that as a puddle starts to evaporate and the water goes away, you can begin to see what was underneath. And in some ways, that is what is happening now. It is about seeing what is underneath and seeing how that can really shift and realign with where you are and where other things are at. For as this is all coming in, for as you are having this connection to that, know that as these changes in the energies are happening, there will be positive coming on the other side. There will be shifting. There will be a new realignment to things. There will be a connection to things to have this knowingness of what is there and how they are going. And so for each of you, it is about really understanding what affects you personally. What can you do to change what does or what doesn't? How can you change your mindset? How can you change your belief system? Because there is very much a lot of separation right now within the earth plane. You know, earth is something that duality is in. So you see the duality that many other places do not. But you understand that with duality, you have to have what you would call a positive or negative or good and bad or flip sides of the same coin. And so it is not that that is negative or that that is bad, but it is about you understanding that, yes, there are two sides, but one is not good and one is not bad. that you can understand each side, that you can have an opinion one way, that you can have a belief one way, but that doesn't mean you need to have a judgment towards others that believe the opposite. Now, many of you will say, well, yes, there is good and there is evil, and evil is one way. And yes, we can say on the earth plane, yes, there is that sense that yes, like if you were to harm someone because you wanted to, that would be considered a very negative, evil thing. And so, yes, that is not right. But you can't judge someone for their beliefs if they are caught up into these things that aren't the more black and white on the human plane. And so it's about understanding that this separation there is that how can you have an opinion? How can you have a thought about something? But if someone has an opposite thought, that you can still see their other side. And yes, you're not going to you may not change your perspective on it, but you can still see where they are coming from as long as they are not harming themselves, others, or those around. It is about understanding that there is that duality, that belief. And so with this upheaval you're feeling within the earth, there is creating more of this separation. But the separation and energy is coming forward to allow for people to have this connection and this understanding that things may be very different than what they were prior. That you need to understand all sides. You need to feel that separation so you can come back and feel the oneness again. It is the duality. You have separate and one, and that's the duality of those. And so, because when you look at it from a spiritual standpoint, a universal standpoint, we are all one. Every energy, being, soul, everything is all working together as one. And so that is what this part of this means. And this is where this is right now you're just feeling more of that separation. Now you are separated, we will say, when you are born, when you come into a human form. You are still part of source. You are still part of that energy, but you are yet separated because you're coming in to inhabit a body. You are coming into a being. So it's kind of like there is that almost tether, that cord that allows for that connection of what is there. And so this is just showing you more of that strong separation so that the world can come back together again. So there can be this cohesiveness and understanding that every human on the planet is just trying to experience life, to live their life, to embrace where they are and where they're going, and to have these experiences. And that, yes, you can say, well, I care for someone, or I don't care for someone, or I have an aversion, and that is okay. But is how can you have this thought without these very strong judgments against others? To know that some people are playing their part, some people are mirroring back to you what you need to understand, and some people are going about their lives either following their path or perhaps they're not. Perhaps they've strayed very far the opposite way. And that is because it is about this understanding that yes, you are exactly where you need to be. That as you can do that, as long as you feel that alignment to earth, as long as you feel that alignment to the peace and the prosperity and the oneness of who and what you are, that is when you will come to find that there is so much more coming forward for you. Because when all souls, all beings, and all energies can work together, it can work together for a common goal, for a common good, and for the evolution and for the alignment and the ascension of not only Earth, but all of the beings on it. Because when you talk about the ascension of Earth, the changing of the energy of Earth, it is also about that Earth can kind of meet you where you're at, each individual. So people will say, well, Earth is coming into the fourth dimension or the fifth dimension, or I am living in the sixth dimension or the fifth dimension. And yes, that can be true, but Earth will also meet each individual where they are. For there are some that do live in that third dimension. They are very stuck in this 3D way, but they're living their life within that. And perhaps that was what they wanted to do to come in here. Perhaps that was the plan for them. And so they are fulfilling what they needed to. And they are happy with it, and they are aligned, and they are moving about their life. But the earth will meet them in with that energy that they need. But as each of you ascend or realign your energy or shift your energy, the earth will also meet you where you are at. It's the same way we say when you ask your guides or energies, or even us as a Druid consciousness, for assistance or for help, many times we will provide it. And we do. We can show you a way. But free will allows for that not to step in. But know that we are always giving you little signs. We're always giving there, and your guides are saying, hey, maybe this way, maybe that way. But we do not want to overstep, for this is part of your life and part of where you are. But you can always ask for, hey, I need a little extra here. I'm not sure where to go. And all of this steps in as all of this is happening. So, as we revert back to the question of, yes, who will there be some more realignment? And we will use the word contentness and peace in the world. Yes, it is coming. It will come. There is just kind of this uncovering of what was maybe has been covered up for some time. There's this opening of what is coming, where things are at, and how they are getting there. And with that sense and with that knowingness, it is about you having a connection to, yes, this is how I'm going to get there. This is where I'm going to go. And this is how that I want to live my life. Because the key within all of this happening around you is, how can you stay centered and how can you stay aligned without all of the noise around you affecting you? You can still say, yes, I am aware. Yes, I can connect. Yes, I can be aware of what it is, and I can have an opinion, but I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to put all of these thoughts, all of this difficulty onto there. But I can give that and allow for that sense of being to truly realign with me. And when I do that, it will keep me able to know that, yes, I am on my path and where I'm going, and all of this noise around me will not take me off my path. And as you begin to walk in alignment on your path, really feeling that connectedness, you will be able to be aware of what is happening around you, but it won't have that strong effect on you. Because when it has that strong effect on you is when it really can become difficult and can throw you off base, because you're not so centered. The same way as a tree that really roots down into the earth, that really has a very strong foundation. It knows where it is, it knows where it's growing, it knows what's happening. That can have a breeze or wind or rain be pushing at it, and it moves and it adjusts and it will sway with what is hitting it. But when all of that is done, it is still very strong in where it is. And that is what each of you need to realize as you are living in this world right now, is it is important to be aware, to be knowledgeable, to be, we will say, educated on what is going on, but not to the detriment of you losing your place. Yes, you may learn something. It may slightly adjust your beliefs. It may slightly adjust where you are, but you still need to make sure that you are staying very aligned, very rooted, and very strong with where you are. For when you can do that, when you can have that sense of, yes, this is where I am, this is who I am, and you can feel that peace, that happiness, that wholeness of who you are, that is when this will all truly make much more sense and you will come together. So until that point, if the noise around you is too much, just shut it out for a little bit and truly work on rooting in, finding out who you are, what you want out of life, where you're going, where do you want to go, what do you love, what are your passions, what really leans into that with you. And when you do that, when you have that sense of, yes, this is where I'm at, that is when you will know and you will have that peace of, yes, I know exactly where I am. And when you open up to all of this noise and energy around, it has that big of effect on you. For something that is not yours, that is not truly connected to your path, if it gives you, if it makes you sad, if it gives you anger, if it gives you hatred, if it gives you anything that really pulls you down, that is not right for you right now. So when you can stand strong but still feel those emotions. You can still hear something and feel it, but you're like that tree just moving in the breeze, saying, okay, I can feel it now. Let me settle down. I'm rooted. Let me clear through that. Let me let that go. That is when you will truly know exactly where you are and how to really expand and experience where you are. So, we've given you much today to think about. We've given you much to contemplate. And think about, where do you have an opinion and where do you have a judgment? Where are those two things maybe not where they should be? Because opinions are what allow for that energy to shift. They're what allow for you to say, yes, this is my truth. A judgment is where you are saying, well, you are not doing it right, or you are not good, or you are not correct. It is not about, people will say, well, I can teach someone how to do something different. And maybe it is more about educating them, giving them the knowledge. But do not judge someone for their decisions. Do not judge someone for their life choices, for you have not walked in their shoes. And you have not maybe understand what they're going through to make them do that. But instead say, okay, how can I either support you, or how can I ensure that I understand that you are living your life? For every person we know, because of duality, will perhaps make a decision that isn't what you would have made, whether it be your child, your spouse, your friend, your parent. But just know you have not walked in their shoes. You may think you know, but they're making that decision for a reason. And so, although you may not agree with it or have a decision elsewhere, have an appreciation that that was their choice. That was their decision. That if your child decides, I do not want to go and play baseball, and you say, but you're so good at it, but you're wonderful at it, do not say, well, they should, they should. Instead, say, I don't know where this is coming from, but for a reason they would wish not to. They're very adamant in that. And so I will honor their choice. And maybe perhaps you find out a week later, a month later, or a year later, well, the reason they didn't want it was it hurt their hand. And so they didn't want to communicate that, but that is why. And you go, I understand now. You had a hand injury many years ago, or it got hit in a door, or there was an issue. And you go, now I know. So now you can understand that. So just know that there are many things that this could be, as that example is more simplistic than others are. But just know that they're making their decisions, as long as they're decisions that are not harming themselves or someone else. We've appreciated the time we've been given today and hope that this has brought some clarity to those that ask this question. Well, this was a really important topic today. One that I think has come up and I know I've channeled on before, but not quite in this manner. So spend some time thinking about what the Druids said, how it connects with you, how maybe you have to look at things in a different way. And try to think about where opinion and judgment play a part, because that seems to be a topic that came up today as well. And there will be more information on that in the future. Have a wonderful day. And again, if you have any questions, topics, or things that you would like to ask the Druids, please respond to any email that comes from me and subscribe to the newsletter so you are first to see these videos that come forward.